has been paying a financial price for its intervention in Crimea. Marcus.
It has indeed. Hi there, Mark. Hi there, everyone. The escalating crisis in Ukraine has taken a heavy toll for global stocks, or of global stocks, this session. On Monday, Russian stocks were among the hardest hit. At the same time, the ruble fell to a record low against both the dollar and the euro. It took a dive even as the Russian central bank raised its interest rate unexpectedly to shore up the Russian economy. Looking then closer at stocks, Russia's main stock market index, the MySEX, lost almost 11%. It means that Russian companies lost almost $60 billion of their market value. Western European shares also took a hit, with brewer Carlsberg among the hardest hit. The Danish company has a big presence in Russia, and its shares were down around about 5.3% on Monday. Now, Carlsberg was far from alone among European companies to fall back, though French bank Société Générale also has a strong presence in Russia, and its shares closed 5.4% lower on the session. Germany's Commerzbank, Finnish tyre maker Nokia and Rencat are among other companies with a Russian presence, and their shares too took a beating. Let's take a look at the broader picture then at the close of the European stock markets. The DAX in Frankfurt was the hardest hit among the main indices in Europe and had its worst session since 2012 this Monday. Also, make note of the MySEX in Moscow, which we've added onto this slide. It was down 10.8% at the close. Looking across the Atlantic, US shares also slid on concerns over the crisis in Ukraine. It came even as US manufacturing activity picked up in February, according to the closely watched ISM index. Now, oil and gas prices have also been heading higher on the back of a Russian intervention in Crimea. There are concerns that the crisis could disrupt oil and gas flows. Russia is a major European energy supplier, and Joe Tandy takes a closer look now at that relationship.
Providing around a third of demand, Russia is Europe's biggest gas supplier. Almost $100 million worth flow into the continent every day. After Russia cut gas supplies to Ukraine 5 years ago, many European Union countries sought to reduce their reliance on Moscow. France now sources only 15% of its gas from Russia, Germany 43%. Yet major gas consumers like Bulgaria, Slovakia and the Baltic states remain totally dependent on Russian supplies. And while sales of oil and gas count for around half of Russia's total budget revenue, analysts say that Europe would come out the loser in any economic showdown with Moscow.
When it comes to a battle of wills and who could last the longest, I think the member states, the likes of Germany, France, would come into troubles long before the Russians would be in a place where they'd have to change their stance.
Russia is also among the world's biggest oil producers, with most of the country's 5 million barrels per day destined for Europe. According to experts, economic sanctions against Moscow would force up energy prices worldwide.
Now, it wasn't all about Ukraine and its ongoing crisis this Monday. We also got through a batch of fresh economic data from the Eurozone, and that data shows that manufacturing in the 18 countries that use the euro slowed somewhat in February. Research firm Market says its closely watched Purchasing Managers Index for the manufacturing sector came in at 53.2. That's less than in January, but it is still above the 50 mark, which signals that the sector is growing. Some corporate news as well. Apple is making a play for car buyers. It's unveiled a new car infotainment system, partnering up with Mercedes, Volvo and Ferrari. Those car makers will be installing the system dubbed CarPlay in their new vehicles. It enables drivers to make phone calls, navigate, play music and send messages by using voice commands. The initiative was unveiled at the Geneva Motor Show, which is underway this week in Switzerland. And we're going to finish up with this. Microsoft founder Bill Gates has climbed back to the top spot of Forbes' annual list of the world's billionaires. According to the magazine, Bill Gates is $7 billion richer than last year. That pushed him beyond the world's second richest person. That is a Mexican tycoon Carlos Slim. Spain's Amancio Ortega, which made his fortune from his clothing empire, and that clothing empire includes, for instance, Zara. He is in third place. $76 billion. Not too shabby there from Bill Gates' side. And with that, I'm going to send it back to Mark.
Marcus Carlson missed out again on the rich list. Never mind. Next year, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Good to see you. Marcus Carlson there with all the business.